Hello and welcome to the CUFI Weekly. I'm your host, Kasim Hafiz. Well, this week has two of the most important dates, I believe, in modern history. June 6th marks D-Day. The D-Day landings, the invasion of the beaches of Normandy, would be the beginning of the end of the Nazi Empire. Thousands of soldiers from the Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy in France, and so many didn't return. They showed incredible courage, and if it wasn't for D-Day, the war, A, may have dragged on for many more years, or B, could have seen the worst case scenario and a Nazi victory. It's incredibly important to me that we honor the courage and remember the sacrifices made by so many young soldiers to preserve freedom. Not only for Americans, not only for Canadians, not only for the Brits, but for people all over the world. So many of us are living the lives we do today because of the sacrifices made on that beach. Without D-Day, the Nazi Empire could have expanded much further. But also this week marks the anniversary of Israel's Six-Day War. Israel attacked on all sides. Egypt, Syria, Jordan, many other Arab nations, many other Muslim nations sent either hardware or soldiers to finally drive Israel into the sea. As history records, Israel did not only survive, it thrived, and it would eventually reconquer Jerusalem, reunifying the city. Why is that significant? After Israel's War of Independence in 1948, Jordan occupied East Jerusalem. As part of their occupation, they destroyed many synagogues and they forced every single Jewish person out. It's important to remember that Jordanian-controlled East Jerusalem held the sites which are holy to all faiths, the Temple Mount and Christian holy sites and Muslim holy sites. Jews were forbidden from visiting the Temple Mount or the Western Wall. The dream of generations of Jewish people had been so close, the rebirth of a Jewish state, but Jerusalem, the Jewish heart, the Jewish city, the city of King David, would be deprived of them until 1967. In the most dramatic fashion, Israeli paratroopers were the first ones to utter the words, "The Temple Mount is in our hands." Thus, so much Jewish history would converge at that moment. Again, courage, outnumbered, outgunned, fighting for their very survival and existence. Somehow, Israel thrived. It would quadruple its landmass. And it would once again unify Jerusalem under Jewish sovereignty. Freedom. And how does that freedom affect us? If it was not for that moment, so many Christians would not have the access to their holy sites. So many Christians would not be visiting the Holy Land like we do today on pilgrimages. It just wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't be an option. Christian holy sites very likely would not be preserved. We've seen what has happened in other parts of the Middle East. Thankfully, because of the sacrifices of so many Americans, we're not required to fight. We're not required to storm the beaches. We have our voices. We can raise awareness. We have a system where we can directly petition our politicians to make the right choices and do the right thing. So I ask, what are you doing? Where are you showing courage? Responsibility starts with us. We must always look inward and how we can make a difference in our homes, in our cities, in our communities. This is Kasim Hafiz for the CUFI Weekly. Until next week, for Zion's sake, do not remain silent.
Thanks for checking out today's episode of CUFI Weekly. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date with the latest news from the Middle East along with topics involving US-Israel relations, please be sure to like and subscribe. And remember to click that notification button so that you are notified every time a new show is uploaded.